things like for the older people like they have here.
A lot of the bureaucracy, to be honest.
Oh dear. Oh,
but-
like super kakoi desu yo.
Yeah, stuff like that. Exactly, stuff like that. Yeah.
Hey guys and girls on Ask Japanese, it's your flashy fashion reporter, Kathy Cat, and today we're gonna go and ask the foreigners here in Japan what their culture shock was. It's the topic that keeps on giving, and there's always something new, so let's go and ask foreigners in Japan. In Japan, how long have you been here for?
I've been like this time is my second time living here, and in total I've been like almost 5 years.
5 years?
It's-
Okay. So, what was like your big Japanese mistake when you like stepped into it? You're like, oh, that's a cultural no, and I did that.
I'm always putting off my shoes when I'm entering a room, and that's something. Yeah, it's not common. But for example, in my parents' house, it was the same. So it's not a big shock. But yeah, for example, now when I see American series, like they're wearing shoes inside, I'm like, I'm like, no. Are you cleaning the room? No. Like I think in France we don't have like the the respect things like for the older people like they have here. And I remember I was with my friend, way older, like Japanese lady, like she might be 40s, but she was rude to me in a way. So I just answer like I was cash with her. And he was like, "Oh yeah, it's your senpai. You cannot talk to her like that." I'm like, "I don't care. She's rude to me. I will be rude with her too." And that's so French to do that. But yeah, here I know it's a no, like to be like not disrespectful, but like talking the same way as a like older person talk to you. You can do it. So yeah, I think it was my big. Usually it's more that like the age gap. I don't really care in a way. And I sometimes I just don't know, like I can evaluate the age of the person in front of me. I'm super bad at that. And
Good point. Sometimes it's hard to tell.
And so I'm like, oh yeah, you're 10 years older than me, but you look 10 years younger. What happened to you?
We want to know that secret.
Yeah, I want to know a secret.
Japan has like an age hierarchy going on here, right? Which is sometimes a bit confusing, the senpai kohai kind of thing, right?
Yeah. The worst cases were like this kind of cases with some older persons, like even my bucho, or like sometimes I just wanna. Yeah, if you shout at me, I just wanna shout back. It's not I'm not like sumimasen.
But internally you're like, oh.
Internally, I already killed you twice, but it's okay.
I mean, you came here 2 years ago, but what were your culture shocks when you came?
My culture shock was a lot of the bureaucracy, to be honest.
Oh dear.
With paperwork and city hall things, and any little change you make requires like a lot of updating information with your city hall. And the DMV, coming from America and California in general, my license does not transfer over to Japan. And I've been driving for decades, and I come over here and I failed the driving test 3 times. So that was a bit demoralizing. Like I was a bit humiliated, and I've yet to pass that driver's test here.
Why did you fail? What did they say?
It seems so minimalistic, like when you go and they want you to like check under the car for like cats and children, and open the door and do everything in a certain fashion. And I feel like I do those things, and then like afterwards they're like, okay, you were a little bit too close to the right or the left, or it's very kibishi and unforgiving. And so even if you have several years of driving experience, it's not about your skills, it's more about how well you follow every rule to the T.
Sounds a lot like the culture here. How well you follow the rules and look at the rules. Right. So what you didn't pass because you didn't check under the car for a cat?
That was like the first time, and then the second time it was like I made a left turn, but I didn't drive far enough to the right side of the lane when I made the left turn. And the third time, I can't even remember. I was so frustrated by that point. And so I've given it like an entire year, and I'm going to start trying again next month.
Are you going to take like classes so in case you know those little pitfalls?
I'm thinking of just paying into the system, and hopefully that I can bribe my way through the next test. Yeah.
Maybe if they see you taking part of some like tests or something, or like classes before, maybe they go like, oh, he tried kind of.
Yeah, exactly. That's That's my hope, at least. Yeah.
Whoosh. All right. How long have you been in Japan for now in total?
9 years. 9 years and let's see, 3 months.
Amount of stories to tell about fails, misses, mishappenings that happened to you in Japan.
Oh my God, where do I start? Okay, so sometimes at work, I'm always behind the camera, but sometimes I get hired to be in front of the camera for stuff like, a TV shoot or, modeling or whatever. So I got hired to do this gig and I thought it was going to be at the studio, like the TV studio. And my mistake was not checking all the details. I had no idea we were going out to Yamanakako near Mount Fuji.
Oh.
So I show up at like 5 o'clock. I'm like, why does everybody have a duffel bag? Oh, dang it.
Oh no.
Luckily, they, after the shoot was done there that evening, they graciously took me back to, allowed me to go back to my apartment and grab all my stuff and then, take me back in the bus, right?
So you were supposed to stay overnight?
Yeah, we stayed overnight for 2 nights there. My fault for not reading there was a massive pamphlet of stuff, right? I really wish I just read that.
Oh my God.
It's just complete unpreparedness on my side. Yeah, but, the whole thing was written in Japanese. So whenever I get a pamphlet that's written in Japanese, I get really lazy. I look over, okay, this is how much I'm getting paid. This is what's going to be the shoot. And, this is when I have to be somewhere, right? So,
Right?
yeah, so I didn't read the rest of it and I really should have.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So you had to kind of drive back, grab your stuff, and then drive there again?
The producers, a couple of the producers went back to Tokyo because they took all of the gear back, right? And they were gonna bring some more gear back to we were staying at a, what do you call it? One of those not Besso, we're staying at a ryokan, right? Right by Yamanakako. So they were bringing a whole bunch of stuff back to that ryokan. They brought me back to Tokyo so I can grab my change of clothes and stuff, and then with all the other gear back to the ryokan. So they were very gracious of them for, to do that. But I feel like I gave them quite a headache and I feel really bad about that.
Oh, damn. Did you make it up to them somehow by like gifting them something?
Yeah, I acted extra gaijin on the show for them and gave them some laughs. And, they were, oh, you mean like giving presents or something? Oh, I bought them beer after we got to the ryokan.
That's a good way to make it up to them. Yeah. What do you mean with acting extra gaijin?
Like a lot of times when you're in front of the camera, sometimes they really want you to kind of be more of a character. And you can probably tell from this conversation, I'm kind of a dry person when it comes to my personality. So I really kind of was out there a little bit more during the shoot to kind of give them more to work with, I guess.
Oh, but, like super kakoi desu yo.
Yeah, stuff like that, exactly, stuff like that, yeah. Or maybe like, broken Japanese here and there, like, oh, I don't know what I'm saying, Nihongo taberimasen toka, like, saying it like that, intentional. But I mean, all the producers knew I spoke Japanese to, a good extent, but they appreciated that. But I also brought the producers beer when we got back to the ryokan, so I felt
made up for it.
Yeah.
Very good.
They like
that was
alcohol.
A perfect story. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Culture shock. Our most popular question. What was your culture shock when you came?
When I first came here, the first thing that kind of threw me off was that, like, when the light turns red, everybody just stops. Or when the doors open for the trains, everybody doesn't just rush in. Like, people wait. Everybody gets out of the train. Then they go in. Yeah. It's like back in New York, when I took the train in New York, it was almost like a reverse culture shock because like I've been here before and then I go back there and then everybody just rushes into the train. I'm just like, whoa, like this is completely different. So that was one thing that threw me off. It's just like how things are different here.
Now thinking about
following the rules very strictly again.
Yeah, it's way different. Mm-hmm.
Is there a possibility of not noticing?
Nothing surprised you? Not even the toilets, the blinking things, the anime posters.
No. Going back to the toilets.
Like
every time, this might kind of go like a little bit too personal, but every time I go to the bathroom and I sit down, the toilet seat surprises me.
Every time.
It's warm. I get scared. I get scared. I think that someone sat on there too long. So yeah, that one surprises me all the time.
Okay, good. We got one. That's a classic. That's a good classic. Yeah. I got a new one for you that I haven't not mentioned before. I was gonna go and take a train to a certain location. I was gonna meet some people, and I looked it up and it said, yes, this train leaves at this platform. It goes to whatever station, and I saw a train that left at the same platform, goes to the same station, and I went on it and I sat and I waited and I sat. And then I realized that actually this train is, yes, going to the same location, but it stops at every milk can. That's a German saying, but it stops at every stop. And therefore, I was an hour late to my appointment because I went, yes, on the right platform, yes, on the right train line, but not the right type of train. There is rapid, there's express, and there's local, and the local stops everywhere. And unfortunately, I didn't take the fast train, but the one that stopped everywhere, and that got me there late, even though I went on there extra early. So that's a little thing to look out for you guys if you go to Japan. It can be on the same platform, it can be the same train line, the same destination. Look out for the little local, express, rapid. There's even other names for that. Look out for that, because otherwise you will arrive at your destinations way too late, or it will not stop at your destination and just full on go past, which happened with my work a lot, because on the weekend that train does not stop where my workplace was. We moved now, but the train would just go full on past my workplace, and that would also make me late for work if I had to work on the weekends, because same train line, it just changes on the weekend. Be sure to check some out of those digital train calculation things. They're actually super helpful. So guys, that's what from me, from Kathy Cat here in Tokyo, the director, and I. We have an Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and all the fun socials. If you want to hang out with us a little bit more, get to know us a little bit more, follow us. It's all in the description box down below. And if you love to find out a little bit more about foreigners' life here in Japan, there is a video right here that is connected, correlated, related. There we go. Related to what we were talking about today. Great to have you here, and I'll catch you soon on Ask Japanese.